time change my shirt, do I?
No.
Really? I can't go downstairs and change real quick?
No.
See, in the time
I'm prepared.
Now, it wasn't unprepared. I'm going to just...
You were unprepared. No, you were unprepared. I remember that. And it's documented that
I took you to the store. I took you to the store.
It's documented that you were unprepared.
No, I took you to the store.
Oh my goodness, an hour and a half ago.
No, and I went for a walk with your mom.
You still had time. He wanted to watch Barbershop, the ending of Barbershop.
Are we like right now?
Yes, we are.
Oh, well, welcome to Skating Unfiltered, another episode of Skating Unfiltered with Jazzy Foster, Coach Jeff, fresh back from Europe.
Fresh, yeah.
And we had a show yesterday last week we just talked about with some athletes that were there. We talked to actually one athlete, Jay. Then we're going to talk to some other athletes in the upcoming weeks. As we're going to talk to a lot of athletes leading up to the American Championships and the National Championships. So we just wanted to get back on pace. It's Tuesday night. I just got out of practice, got my walk in with Tammy, and we got a super special guest. Actually, it's one of my favorites. My man, Al Tinsley, everybody's most favorite referee on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to talk basically about him. And we got a couple other things we want to talk about, but we want to talk about him, how he got started, what he thinks is going to, what's going to happen. He's the top official in both organizations. We're going to talk about that. And he's going to be doing a meet this weekend in Delaware. So is he ready to come in?
Yeah, I'm waiting on you.
Oh, it's my fault. Okay, so when
I'll let him in now.
So see if he's in, because he's in on his computer.
He's in on his computer.
Okay, it says Al.
And wait a minute, he was in there waiting for a little bit.
So he might be. Wait till it. There he is. What's up, Al? Can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hey, good. Well, thank you for taking the time out to join the show. I think this is, I knew this was going to be a big one because when we announced, I saw all the shares and all the compliments that everybody was giving you before you even got on the show. I mean, I don't want to read all of them up, but there was a whole bunch of them that were saying he's the best referee, talks to the young kids and all sort of kind of stuff, all positive stuff. So how are you doing, man?
Everything's busy, life. I've just been admiring you guys, and you're away overseas for a month?
Yeah. Does he got to go down a little bit? Or?
Oh, well, Al, you cut off your face.
There you go.
Yes, yeah, you were gone for a month, so it's good stuff. It just brings back so many memories when we went to France. Never been to Gazagen, never been to Gros Garrel, but good stuff.
I had a great time. I mean, I really did take it in the whole, I did the skating thing, but also took in the culture a little bit, trying to, and people were very friendly. I mean, I knew some people knew before I got there, but they were still really, really friendly. And I just had a good time. And anytime I had any like a problem or issue, everybody was just there willing to help out and say, well, you got to do this, or you got to go here, or you got to do this. It was really fun.
Well, I want to know, Jazz, what about you? What did you think of the trip?
It was fun and interesting. Definitely a lot to learn while I was out there, more for like the pack races, because we don't have a lot of big pack races in the US, so that was definitely different.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Was that your first time to France?
Yeah, France and Germany.
Okay.
So when did you go there first?
Trying to think of what year, but obviously went with Nina and Trey, and they went 5 straight years. I'm trying to think of the last time they went, but we went the first year and we were hooked. We went every year.
Yeah, we're definitely going back next year. Now,
Yeah.
I took Justin, and I'm trying to think. I'm thinking probably about maybe 2000, somewhere in that round there. I think I took him, and we went just to France because the Geisen thing it wasn't happening then, and that was when Joe Cotter and Charlie Lucas were running it, and I remember the reason why I think that the people were so nice is we got to the airport, Justin and I, and we're ready to go, and our flight got canceled. So we couldn't, I was like, what are we gonna do? Our flight got canceled, and those people were so gracious. We went the next day, and there was somebody at the airport to pick us up. And I was trying to get this boy some gas, and he wasn't having it. He was like, he just wasn't having it. We caught up with everybody on the buses and everything, and we had a wonderful time.
Like basically riding in a closet for 8 hours on a public train.
Yeah, I didn't do the train. We had to go through a car to catch the bus. We didn't do the train.
Right.
And we didn't.
Well, yeah, that's right. That's what
this
Gypsy
year, when we got there, even they were all on strike and everything. So we had the privilege of learning how to rent a car, and that was the first time I had ever driven in a foreign country.
It was an automatic though. It wasn't a manual.
Yeah, but just driving,
Yeah. Street signs are a little different.
Signs are a little different. They drive fast as you know what over
there. Oh yeah.
I mean, everybody says I got lead foot. I was a lightweight. Because they were just past me, coming up behind me, flashing lights, get out the way. But it all worked out. We got where we got to go to. But
great experience for everybody. So I'm really glad you went, Jazzy. Like you said, the pack racing, just seeing a different thing. Your next goal, I would think, is we need to get you down to Colombia and let you see some of that too.
Yeah.
That's a whole different experience too.
Oh yeah, I need to go down there.
You need to stay home.
Yeah, you stay home, Mom. I'll go with Stephanie.
Why I gotta stay home? What's up with that? It's act like you had the pre-interview before I got on here. You already been talking about why I gotta stay home. All right, fine. It'll be cheaper for me.
So funny. Colombia is definitely, and the people down there, the times we were down there, they were amazing. They were really, really nice. But the skating there is, bar none, amazing.
Yeah, we got a taste of it when the World in Colombia. We were kind of closed off from everyone else. But when we walked outside, there were so many little kids. Yeah. They wanted pictures, they wanted autographs. So we had to, it was delayed. So we went outside to look at some of the little shops and everything. When we went back, we were like, oh, okay, we gotta go. Back inside.
To tell you, did you do on the last track in Germany, did you guys do the trades where everybody's running around the bus wanting to trade their uniforms and all that stuff? That was quite the
Yeah, I didn't do it as much because I had mostly my sponsor uniforms, and I can't trade those with them, but I did trade some. I didn't want a guy suit, and actually I traded one of my suits for, I think it was a Italian team club suit.
Oh, sweet. Okay. That's sweet. Good stuff.
Now I got a question.
Yes, sir.
I got a couple questions. When did you start skating? How did you get involved in skating? How did that come about?
First meet ever was in 1980, if you can believe that. And it was at Franklin, Indiana. Because remember, I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky. So I used to skate for Skate World, J-Town, and then eventually we skated for Highview. And Highview had the orange uniforms.
Was that Mr.
And
Ketchel?
that's Chuck Ketchel. Yes, sir. So very interesting. We had, just like everybody else, we had all kinds of clubs. We had 4 clubs in Louisville. So it was very competitive, but Kentucky was considered part of the Southern region. So we would have our meets up in Kentucky, and we'd go to Ohio, and we'd go to Indiana and stuff like that, even though it was a different region. But when regionals, we were always headed to Florida. So my competition was Eric Licata, Sam Johnson, all these people way back when. So my first meet was 1980. I was a rink rat at the skate rink, just go to rink all the time. And I always got sat down by the floor guard because I was always going fast. So they said, you need to join the speed team, typical, like most rink rats our age. And just kind of hooked to it. We just started going to meets all over the place, and it was really, really cool. And it was something that, as my mom said, she used to love it because the rink was right down the road from where she worked. So she always knew where I was at.
Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of trivia.
Okay.
When I went to Worlds in Adelaide, Australia, guess who my coach was? Chuck Ketchel.
Chuck was, oh, wow.
He was world team coach. What happened is the coach that was supposed to go, something happened, they weren't able to go, and Chuck was ended up being the coach, and he coached us to get our medal.
Wow.
In Australia.
Well, I remember, because a lot of people don't know, but Chuck, we had Darlene Kessinger,
yeah,
and we had Stephen Hughes, and we had, well, you remember Steve? Remember we were in Kentucky? We all got together with the picture.
yeah, yep.
So that was good, and we just had, Highview was a hell of a team, and Chuck was a hell of a coach. But I was always a rival with him. I was never, until Skate World shut down, I was always the rival team. So.
Oh. Well, yeah, he was the world team coach when I went to Worlds the first time.
Did not know that. Wow, that's good stuff.
So when you started coaching, and we don't want to go to all that stories about you and us each other and the mishaps that came along.
Mishaps? What are you talking about?
The mishaps that happened along the way that your daughter.
Jazzy, you know about this story, right? Of Peoria, Illinois.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, we'll share that another time. But anyway.
No, go ahead. Tell her the story. Go ahead. Tell the story.
Your father and I were racing. I believe it was division race. It was my first race, and we were all in there because we were all competing. Us old men trying to, and he made a interesting pass.
But I thought
Did you take him out?
Wait a minute. I thought Kurt was the one that knocked you down, wasn't it?
Why don't you ask? Are you talking about Kurt LeBeda?
I think Kurt LeBeda was the one that knocked you down, wasn't it?
Sure, but that's okay.
Was you?
I'm just saying, Kurt was in the race too.
It was all of us. It was all of us. And I have to tell you, it's funny because, after when I went to college in St. Louis, I went back to Louisville after I graduated from college. And then I got on with American and I moved to California. And that's when I got to meet Kurt and Jay and John Elliott and all them, because I didn't know any of them until I moved out to California. Then I skated for them. So that's a whole nother story. But anyway, Jazz, get to the point here. He made an interesting pass, and the result was I ended up on the floor way off the thing. And it was interesting because I didn't think much of it. I got out of the race or whatever. But my arm was hurting. My wrist was hurting, but it didn't swell and this and that, but it was really bothering me. It was like throbbing. So went to a doctor that night, went to the hospital that night in Peoria, downtown Peoria, Sunday night. And I broke my wrist. My wrist was broken.
Don't you hit me.
I didn't hit you. You broke his wrist.
We were out there, and I if I remember that, because Kurt was there. That was like one of the first, and I don't think he
He
skated
said
anymore.
Jeff put all of us on the floor. That's what Kurt said.
Kurt said,
Kurt said hi, Al, and Jeff put everyone on the floor. Put all of us on the floor.
I don't think I got disqualified.
I don't think so either, but it was interesting because, it was funny because, people were, my kids, especially my daughter, she was like, just giving him evil looks all the time.
And she was giving me the same evil looks that you gave Dave Weber when me and Dave fell.
So you understand.
So she was but it was interesting. And I was like, man, I felt all bad and everything. And so, but
you broke his wrist.
See now that's what she's gonna say. You broke his wrist. I'm like,
like me. It was interesting because, like I said, when I was done, that was the first day. So I was done because I was in the hospital in downtown Peoria, Illinois, of all places. So I had to get a cast. Well, I ended up getting the cast, my purple cast, because I was Texas Speed, purple. And I ended up skating relays. And I ended up getting 2 medals with my cast.
Yeah, because Nina didn't like me at all. I don't think she said anything, but I knew Nina was not having nothing to do with me. She was like looking at me like you just a mean person. I was like, oh.
It's always interesting, as you know, racing against your dad, because he was really hard to pass. He had so much power coming out of the turn, you can't get around him.
This is not the point. Let's get back to you.
Yes,
so you started skating. So when did you decide that you were going to do start officiating?
It's really interesting because as I got older and obviously the competition started getting a lot faster, I wanted to stay involved, obviously, because of, Nina and Trey. So I just started fishing local meets and stuff and did a lot of meets in Ohio and in Michigan and Indiana and stuff like that as I moved up the ranks of officiating. I'm trying to think what my first nationals I officiated, because, you had to be like a volunteer, so to speak. So I kind of went out there and volunteered different things and this and that, whatever. But I remember officiating Fort Wayne, Indiana, I believe was my first nationals that I was an official. And like I said, quite interesting because that nationals, Nina was novice and she was set up to win the meet. And in the final race, she started in the back, why I don't know. And then some girl flipped her and she ended up getting flipped and her glasses ended up below her nose and everything. It was just a mess. And she ended up getting second overall, but she was so devastated. And I remember Jim Pitch saying to me, he goes, you want to go? Because I was in the middle, officiating. He goes, you want to go over there and say to her, we got you here. Go attend to your daughter. So just things like that. I just remember, different things and this and that, whatever. But officiating, like I said, I started volunteering at nationals. I wasn't a paid official for the longest time. I just did it because I was there and stay involved.
Now, did you ever think about coaching?
Yeah, I do a lot of what they call, I do more of assistant like coaching because I've always been one of the people that just kind of support. We had a mega practice Sunday of a Gypsies rink. And I was just one of the people there that, just helps with all the kids and stuff like that. I'm more of on the official side of it. So I kind of put a lot of my effort into that. But a lot of people call me Coach Al.
Now, you don't just officiate skating, correct?
That's correct. I just completed my 5th year of officiating high school and middle school basketball. And it's been quite the awakening. That's why when people talk about coaches in skating, until you've had coaches in middle school basketball, oh my goodness. You're talking about some parents and some my second game, Trey was watching when I was officiating. Middle school girl, 7th grade. It got so bad that me and the co-official had to get escorted out of the gym by the police.
So you're saying that officiating basketball is worse than skating?
Hands down.
Really?
Oh my goodness.
I've heard stories that, and I know when Jazzy used to play soccer, I used to see some of the officials, some of the parents, the way they behaved and everything. And of course, when you go up to the major sports, you see the fans. It's just, like the NFL and everything, they just go crazy. But I've always thought it was worse. But a lot of people, I guess, until you do something else, then you get a better perspective. I guess that makes officiating skating kind of piece of cake, I guess.
That's for me with officiating is I don't really have an ego. I really don't. It's not about me. It's not about me showing off. It's not about me doing this. It's about making sure I adjudicate a fair competition. But at the same time, I don't feel that an official should run around with a scowl on their face and barking at people. That never has appealed to me. And I don't like that. And the officials that I've been developing through leagues and through, different things is I'm trying to bring you can be cordial and nice and talk to people and still officiate a great meet and still, officiate a fair meet.
I think you're right. So now,
well, before you get into that, Matthew wanted to say my all-time favorite ref, you, Al, and he hopes you are well.
Oh, well, thank you. Who was that?
Matthew Fortner.
Oh, I miss me, Mr. Matthew, Nina, and trying to think who it was. The third year we went to France, they met in the back of the bus and they were inseparable. They were the whole week there. Matthew probably right about that and tell this. France was it David Belknap, Matthew Fortner, and Nina Tinsley. Inseparable. But thank you.
And Kurt also said that you approved that you're in it for the sport.
Yeah, the passion.
And you have the passion for it. I wanted to know, so how do you balance? Because people don't know you're a national champion now in your division. So it was a year or two back. So what I want to know is how you balance that.
The one thing that as I moved up the ranks of officiating, it was hard to officiate at a higher level and then still skate. It was just, sometimes it was just exhausting. And when I was asked or had the pleasure of being chief at some of these events, I had to stop. I could not compete because it's too much to do and too much to balance and too much to get far. So it's tough to do. It can be done. And when I was younger, when I was 30, it was fine, but I'm no longer 30. So it's tough.
I can relate when I used to coach. Well, I still coach. When I used to skate and coach, at nationals, and half the time, I remember one time you came up to me and said, Jeff, we got to check in. And I didn't have nothing on. I was still in my street clothes and everything else. I said, "We told me we got to check in. You missed the warm up and everything." I said,
"Oh yeah."
So it is definitely. I always, I think people have to point that out because talk about that because it definitely demonstrates the dedication that someone like yourself has to the sport. And now that you and Trey always show up, how is that for you officiating, with your son, going to meets all over the place? Because I always know, everybody, how's it? It's cool, and everybody. So when's Trey coming?
So Jeff, as a father, as you know, and having a world team daughter, and then having a son who was an A1 official, if anybody can relate to that, is you, because basically I had the same thing during the prime when Nina was on world team, and Trey was coming up the ranks, and it was interesting with Trey because Trey's road was a little different. He's always been dedicated. And I don't know if you remember back when he was 11 years old at World Team tryouts in Colorado Springs, whoever was doing the lap counter was messing up.
Oh, I
And
remember.
and I showed up.
That was his entry point.
Yes, because people like pulled me to the side and says, "Hey Al, how you doing? Is your son coming? You mean my 11-year-old son? Yeah, because we need somebody to run the lap counter." I'm like, he's 11. But he took it seriously. He used to put a badge on that says lap counter extraordinaire or something. He was something else, but he was dedicated to what he wanted to do. So to your point, officiating with him and then being on the national floor with him or being at the American Championships with him, it doesn't get any better as far as I'm concerned. It was an amazing feeling. It was an amazing thing. And it's really cool to do that. And I cherish it because I don't know how much longer that's going to be, because, he's graduating from college in December and, his career is going to take off and then it's going to be bye-bye. So.
Well, I can relate to that because I remember when I would be skating, Jazzy would be skating, Tam would be skating, and Justin's on the national floor refereeing. So we were like the skating family. I mean, we're just doing everything. And like you said, now he's 3 kids later and 3 grandkids. And he said the only way he's coming back is if you're the head ref at nationals. That's what he keeps telling me all the time.
And let me tell you, it's entered the mind. They've wanted me to do it for the past couple of years to be chief. And I've been assistant chief a couple times. And it's just a matter of my job thing. And of course, if I still wanted to skate, all the times, I don't think you can be chief at nationals and compete. You just can't do it, in my opinion. But I've been still skating relays. And even last year, I won 2 medals in the relay. But I think this year I'm not skating at all. I'm not going to compete at all. So who knows? We'll see what happens this year at nationals. I'm just getting ready. I still help out and officiate, but to end your point there, officiating with Trey has been really, really nice. And I've really enjoyed it even more because, Nina doesn't skate anymore. She's out of it completely, done, finished. And, I missed that because, we went all over the world. And I mean, literally all over the world, like you're doing now with your daughter, who, by the way, is amazing. But I just want to tell you that. So you better enjoy that.
Yeah, I think it's, I've always admired the fact when Nina was skating, Trey was skating, you were officiating and you were competing. I just want to, I know how I balanced it out. And sometimes I didn't do it very well. Mm-hmm. And, what is your experience with that? Because those are long days. I mean, you're there. I mean, even if you're there, you got to be there early in the morning. And maybe Nina didn't have to be there early in the morning. Maybe Trey didn't have to be there, but they all had to go when you went because unless you had you could go back to the hotel back and forth. It was hard. And I think that a lot of people just don't realize how much effort it takes when you're doing multiple roles in this sport.
Support the family. Like I said, my wife Julia was the rock there. I mean, she was the support. She was the person who was always doing the things behind the scenes. So similar to what is going on now with Tammy. Tammy does all the behind the scenes stuff, and you guys wouldn't be successful without her. I mean, I'm not telling you anything you already don't know. And that's one of the things that was really successful with us. Was Julia. Julia was amazing. And the France trip, just a little sidekick here, one of the reasons why she loved going is Julia speaks French. And so they used to bring her to the front of the bus to translate. And she loved that. So we had a built-in translator when we went to France and went to Trapeze every year.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Well, I've been asking some questions. You have any questions? Because I got a whole bunch more.
I don't have a question, but I was for you. I said, the reason I went to Worlds in 2017 is mainly because of Nina. She came up to me because I made as alternate, and she comes up to me at the end of it.
This is another bad story about me. I can already know.
It is.
Wait till she tells us another bad story about me.
So Nina comes up to me and says, "You're going to be going to World." And I was like, "You don't know that." She says, "Well, I'm in the sprinter spots, and that's what you are as alternate." She says, "You need to go to the meeting." And I was like, "Okay, well, I don't know if I should." She says, "You need to go." I tell my dad. He goes, "No, we're leaving. We're going home." And then if I would have went to the meeting, I would have had my T-shirt sizes, and I would have been walking around in dresses in China.
Well, I did all full disclosure. Al told me the same thing, but I said we're going home, and we'll just wait and see what happens. And then we did get the call because I called Al right away. We were at the campground. I was at the campground when Renee called me, and then I told Tammy. I didn't tell Jasmine right away.
No, I got a call too.
And then she got a call. So then we went to China. And of course, we weren't guaranteed no races. And actually, we didn't think we were going to get a race. And she got, I think you got the 200.
No, it was a 300 at the time. There wasn't a 200.
Oh, yeah,
it was a
300.
And then when they did the 100 for the first year.
Yeah, the 100. So it was.
Wait, say that again?
Say it again.
China as well.
Oh, yeah, 2016, yeah.
Yes, and so we did the 100-meter there too. So that was the second year.
Yeah, it was the second year. I remember because Nina beat my time. When they first did the 100, I was the first one to go.
Yeah.
So I no matter what, if you won that race, you set the record. So you have the record for the first time. So I was like, yes. And then Nina just goes and crushes it.
It was I remember it was so funny because when she told me that she was going to give up the spot and she wanted to give it to you, it warmed my heart, but it kind of crushed me at the same time because I was ready to go to China and show something, but it couldn't have happened to a better person. And we forever happy. And I remember your mom coming up to us, I guess it was, I don't know where it was. We saw her at a meet and she just gave Nina a big old hug and you guys were just genuine, but you deserved it. So, I mean, it was just one of those things where, that's where the sport needs to be in terms of stuff like that, because it's not us against them and this and that, whatever. We need to promote each other and we need to help each other. And it sounded like to me that some of that was going on when you guys went to France this year and the Geisengen, where people were trying to help each other instead of saying, everybody's out for themselves. But thank you. Yeah, Nina, that was, and it's funny too, because we had a conversation not too long ago. We were talking about that. And ever since that time, and you've been in the world team ever since. So there you go. So that's a testament to you and your ability and what you were able to do. And I just look at some of these people who get to that level, like you, and one of the people I look at, kind of the same dock, different boat, or whatever, how you want to say it, is Jacob Melton. Jacob Melton got the invite to go. Was it 2 years ago now, I guess? Yeah. And, people were skeptical, this and that, whatever. And he came back and he got the education, and look at him now. Look at him now. He's one step away from an absolute superstar and, great attitude, great family. And these are the type of things that I just love to see. And like I said, with you, Jazz, it was just so nice because, you made the team, you're not sure this and that, or you might have gotten it, you're not sure if somebody gave it to you. And then the next year you go and prove everybody that, yeah, I do deserve it. And because the same thing happened, with Nina, that story, right?
Yeah.
No, tell us.
Yeah.
Well, 2015, the first year, Brian Talley and Michael Ringer had a dispute or whatever, and they had a tie or something happened at tryouts. And so to rectify the thing, they decided to take more than the normal people than they took. So they took the 7th and 8th person to go to nationals in both junior and senior men and junior and senior women. So when we had left outdoor nationals that year, Nina was skating in Michigan, and we were looking forward to training for nationals the next year. So Nina was up in Michigan in the summertime. We get a call, just like you. We got a call saying, actually it was Nina's coach up at what was his name? LR. LR called me. LR called me and said, so what do you think about Nina at Worlds? I'm like, what are you talking about? You talking about next year? He goes, no, this year. What do you mean? So explain that. So they basically said, and I had a call from the national office, Ricky, saying, okay, Nina made team.
Give us your money.
But this is after, this is after we didn't have any fundraising, nothing, just me and 18.
Yeah.
And we're like, but
we were at the campground because we're like, how many are they calling? Because we brought up the sheet of everybody that had points, because we almost had someone from our team as well, because we're like, actually, I think
it's crazy. So it was Katie, Huffman, and Nina got the call. Because I remember Katie's mom called me. She goes, did you get a phone call? I said, oh, we sure did. So what are you going to do? I said, oh, we're not going. We're not going to Taiwan. We don't have any time, this and that, whatever. Well, that didn't sit well with my daughter. So we went to, I guess it was Naira. We were in Naira. We were at some meeting in Atlanta. And Renee was there. And she lobbied Renee and lobbied this and lobbied that. Because I said, Nina, we're going to go over to Taiwan. You're not going to, like you said, not going to get any races, not going to do this. She goes, I have the record in the 100 meter. I have this, I have that. I'll at least get that race. So she lobbied and off to Taiwan we went.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I definitely know the feeling. So it's interesting because these are good stories. And I think they're good stories that the history of skating, and a lot of people don't understand, and I think people that will go back and watch this will understand it doesn't always happen the way you think it's going to happen, and you got to jump through some hoops at the last minute to get things done. But I wanted to switch gears just a little bit and ask you, how is it officiating, being one of the top officials in two different organizations? How is that? And I mean, if you can be, you don't have to get all, you don't have to be too honest about it, but I mean, you are, let's face it, you officiate two national events, you officiate the biggest meet in the country right now, and you're going to officiate a meet this weekend in Delaware.
It's one of those things where it's not about me. And that's just the thing I go about it. I want to make sure that I do a nice job, but I want to make sure the kids get the most out of it. And I really believe that. I think my actions speak for that. I just want to make sure that everybody gets with that. I want, you're already nervous when you're skating. Everybody knows that. You're already nervous. You're already doing that. But at the same time, you never know what kind of difference you're making in a kid's life by just being friendly or just being a smile or explaining things to people. I've been accused a lot of times of being too friendly as an official, talk too much, this and that. Oh, I've heard it all. And again, I'm just very, very humbled about what I do, and I enjoy doing meets, and I enjoy, just making sure stuff is done correctly. And I see moving forward, as some of the upper coming officials that are coming around, they're starting to take that attitude as well. Because, I grew up in the old school officiating where, I was told that you have to stay in the middle with a scowl on your face and your arms folded and you can't talk to nobody and this and that, whatever. And I don't believe in that. I just don't. I get that in basketball too. In basketball, they're saying you got to do this, you got to do that, and you got to do this. And some of it's legit. I'm not saying I know everything, because I sure the heck don't know everything. And I think a lot of the success I've had as an official in both organizations has a lot to do with the team around me. And I believe if you have a good team around you, I know it's cliche-ish, but the team around you makes the difference. If you have a good team, then you can, everybody does well. Milton this past year. We had an excellent team. So the meet went well. And, I also believe when you're doing officiating, when I'm a chief official, I believe in moving people around, doing different areas. And I know you've seen that with me, and Jazz has even seen it when she's reffed with me. I'm going to have you do it all, because I think that's the best way to get the best experience and to see things on how it's going.
Yep. Just want to say, Crystal Franklin is giving a shout out to Trey, and Dan Hyde said you're the man. And
Robin Sanders says Trey's the best lap counter.
Yeah. Well, we'll I do that. Al knows that. I used to sit there. I was sitting there. I said, "When is your son getting here?"
Oh yeah. No, I heard that many times, and it was so funny because I was like, "He's 11," but he took it seriously. He took it seriously, and it was just good stuff. And again, back to officiating with him, it doesn't get any better, Jeff. And anybody can relate to that. You can. And
I know.
It's just so sweet. And I tell you, I'm bummed that Nina's kind of got out of it, because I think she would have been a great official too. And that would have been the ultimate high, and have all three of us doing it.
Oh yeah. So what do you think? We've gone to the standing referee thing. And what do you think the future of officiating is, or how, if you were to say where officiating is as far as how many officials we have, what do you think, what is your assessment of where we're at now, being where you're at in the officiating ranks?
So the younger ranks, I think one of the things that we did, not me, we did in our region, in the southern region, whatever region we are here in Texas, we did a lot of promoting other officials, and we had like a grassroots of people that just officiated. We had them do all kinds of things, and it really worked out well. And as you can see, there's been a lot of meets over the years that all officials coming from Texas, because I think we need more of that. When I was up at the LOL in Illinois, one of the things that I was doing with Lisa and all them is there's several younger officials that I'm trying to develop to get them to do some things. And, Delaware in the past, Jazzy knows that, Jazzy, Jalen, these are people who are at a high level in their skating career. So they're going to see some things that some of us old officials can't see. And they understand some of the tricks of the trade and some of the things that, they can see that I probably can't see. So a lot of it has to do with experiences, and a lot of it has to do with having different types of people. So the future is, in my opinion, is developing everybody with that. The future to me is developing younger skaters into the officiating ranks, seeing that, hey, that's kind of cool. And Trey has been a catalyst to that, because people are looking at him going, okay, he's how old? And he's out there? And he gets questions all the time about that. Hey, I want to take this test. I want to do this. I want to do that. So the future, I think, is just the younger folks. We got to develop some of the younger folks.
I know that when, we had quite a crew coming out of the Eastern Ring. We had Justin, Christian Giglio, Ryan Wiederhold, Dave, Justin Manning, and when they went to the standing ref, they all just they were done. And that really hurt us in our region, because we had something that was going on in Texas also. And we were, and I think Justin and Christian Giglio really kind of spearheaded that, because Justin had gotten invited to Texas to do Charlie Lucas's meeting. He was the head.
Oh yeah, love having him down there.
And then he just told me, when they started standing, he says, "I am not going to stand around. I want to roll." and then it just, I'm not gonna say he got pushed out. I just think they just made it an easy exit for him. They started having kids, and then that was kind of it. But we haven't gotten back to developing those referees. The only referees we have are Jasmine and Jalen right now. Those are the only two that we really
Who's
have.
Chad?
Oh, Chad.
Chad
I'm
is
sorry,
the
Charles
referee.
Fletcher. He
And
refs.
Lenny.
And Lenny refs,
Yeah.
but we really don't have that. I mean, of the younger ones
Oh,
that
out
were
of the
coming
younger
up,
ones,
they were
yeah,
coming
yeah,
up.
it's
We
just
would
me
have
and
been
Jalen on
really fine. And just so Jessica Palmer saying hello. I don't. She'll have to.
She said thank you for the kind words for Jacob. She just got
okay,
on.
okay. She's got on. So, and I think, I don't know, somebody else was on there too.
It's just going
No,
on.
somebody else was on there. Yeah, Meredith had something, she's your probably number one fan. So, but I just hope, because it seems like we have a little bit of a shortage, because when we have these meets on the same weekend, it does turn out to get a little thin, and I hope that we'll replenish that in the next few years. I was just wondering what you thought about it. Oh, hold on a minute there, because you're definitely, I don't know what happened.
Try again.
No, wait, I think we got, I don't know, but when he starts talking, and then it's fine. And after a while, I don't know what that is. Try it again.
People are starting to understand that. And I believe that they're in lots of meets, they're starting to train different people. And I welcome that. I think that's wonderful.
Ask Al what he liked better. Oh, this is the question.
Do you like standing?
Do you like standing better, or do you like rolling better? And I want to make sure you give it some time, because I don't want it to get buffered. I want everybody to hear this.
No, so I'm the old school of rolling. I enjoy rolling. However, I will say this, that when you're at a huge meet with a long day, that having the option of also standing is practical. Because day 3 of rolling, I mean, you want to be able to walk. You want to be able to walk to drive, to get to your car to drive home. So
I agree.
Yeah. So
I agree that I don't think people had a problem with standing. I think it's when it was mandated they weren't going to roll that got people upset.
I agree with that. And I'm an old school. Just for the record, I'm an old school. I love the roll. I always bring my skates. And if I'm the chief official, I tell my officials, are we rolling? Are we standing? I was like, we're going to do both. Bring what you want, your option if you want to do that. Having 2 to 3 people on skates at really large meets is very, very beneficial. I think you get a lot more out of that. The standing works if you have enough people. If you don't have enough people standing, you're going to miss stuff. And obviously, if you're rolling and you have 2 officials, you're going to miss stuff too. So a lot of it has to do with that. But yes, just on the record, I'm a rolling person. I still like to roll, even in my old decrepit age. So.
Well, now I do. When we were in France, the one thing I noticed, and Chris Castorini, we were sitting there. Huh?
Castorina.
What did I say?
Castorini.
Okay, Castorina. I'm sorry. Sorry, Chris. Anyway, we were sitting there watching the one.
Love him too.
One thing that he brought up was how fast the meet went, and just boom, 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 boom. Very little, no protest. I mean, when the race was over, the next race was starting. And do you think that we need to? And I know that we can't help it if people jump and all that other kind of stuff. But do you have any ideas on how we can make the overall meet just go faster, so we can get more racing done in a specific amount of time? Now, one thing they do,
they don't have warm-ups.
They warmed up in the morning in France for like 45 minutes, and then that was it. There was no. I think one time. I mean,
there
like
were a couple of times. So like if the seniors didn't skate all day, they'll have a warm up before our races for that.
but they weren't doing it like every 4 races or 5 races like we do in the United States, and that was one thing. And I mean, and they had at the one race 700 entries, and they got it all done.
You know, friends. I get it. I've seen it. I actually skated. I was like Tommy Atkins. You know, Tommy, competed. I was that person. I was like 87. I finished like 70th. And I was like, how did I finish 70th? I was like dead last and everything. But a lot of it has to do, and I think what you're starting to see is it opened up a lot of eyes to a lot of different people. And I think it opened a lot of eyes to a lot of people who understand and how to run things. You, for example, because I've heard different things at this mega practice that we're at. Gypsy was talking about this meet that's coming up in Texas, the Texas Roller Games, and one of the things she said was, "We're going to do warm-ups in the beginning and then no more." I was like, So people are starting to see how they do that, and they're starting to take some of those options and doing the same thing. It's not like you're not going to warm up, but you need to do it on your own. You need to do it out and get your warm-ups. And the world team members know that. They know what they have to do to get ready. I mean, that's just part of it. It's some of the younger divisions and some of the old school, this is how we've always done it. People are going to have to, I think, make some of the changes to get with that, because I agree with you, being in a meet and then having reruns and this and that and it drags, and then you're ahead, and then all of a sudden we run all these warm-ups and then we end up behind and this and that, and it's just, it can be really, really frustrating. But I think we're on the right path. I've seen a lot of people trying to make some changes and to try to adapt. And Jeff, change is hard. Change is really, really hard. And there's some people that just don't want to change. But I think we have a lot of people in the right places that are really trying to make some changes. And I think you're going to see a lot of improvement.
Well, I hope so. I know, because I think Emerald Coast, which the meet, our whole family's involved in, and they went out a day, and I'm on the fence, so okay, this out a day, and it's not that I'm opposed to it. I'm not opposed to out a day. I'm just wondering how that's going to affect overall skating, because if it's 4 days and then you get the travel day, it's a 5, maybe 6 day meet for some people, because it's going to be huge. I think that we're going to, and we're going to make some mistakes, because we're going to be on a track, and I don't know what's going to happen. We'll just have to, wade through it. Because I thought, like you said, last year, we were working on a template and just making itty bitty changes along the way. And I think like posting the races the way we posted them this past year was a big improvement. So people can go see, hey, and then when they would say, I was supposed to be in this race, and I would say, well, wait a minute, it's been over here for 3 hours. Right. And why didn't your coach say anything? So I think that it, we'll just have to wait and see how that goes, because I think that that's changing the way, and what they did with their particular technology down there, where we were able to know when we were able to race with the light above the lap counter and all that kind of stuff. I think that those are subtle changes that I think you will see at the national level down the road.
I think that really hurts some of the big invitationals here in the U.S. is the late entries and stuff like that. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, because you have a kind of a dispute here of, you want as many entries as possible because you want that revenue and this and that, whatever. But at the same time, it really disrupts the meet, because now you have to redo stuff and you're gonna have to do stuff. And I think that is one issue that, between running the meet and being the person in charge of the meet, is really, really hard. And it's a balancing act, because you don't want to turn anybody away. but what do they do over in Europe? I don't know this. Do they allow late entries, or is it you ain't there too bad, or?
Well,
Because
I
that's
think that what we did, one thing that I think a lot of people don't know is you have, Tammy does what she does, and then we have a cutoff for the meet, and then we send the number to a person, which is Harry, that makes the actual schedule.
Mhm.
And the only way we would change the schedule is if the addition would not create heats. So, Harry he said, I need this by this date. Even though we're still taking late entries on, I need this number by this date. So that and he doesn't need to know who's in what. He just needs to know how many senior ladies, how many juvenile girls, and how many freshman boys. And then he makes the schedule. And then what happens is, at that point, if somebody wants to come in later, if it creates heats, we won't allow that. But
Mhm.
if they are just, if there's 5 people and it's one person at 6, then we allow that. But and I think that's how we've been able to maximize the entry down there. And actually, when we were involved in Orlando, that's how we were allowed to do it down there also. So, it does. But what you're saying is true. And I don't know what they do in Europe, because they got, like I said, but we're struggling with 350 entries. They had 700.
So we did have and I would say issue, but so Graham he was on a wait list. They kind of have like a wait list kind of in ways, and guys again they did. So he was on the wait list, and they were like, okay, he can fit in for the sprint, so we'll put him in here, but he didn't know about the distance races until later they put him into the distance races. So I guess like people pulled out, so they were able to go in. So there's like a wait list. If anybody pulls out.
Yeah, there is a wait list for guys. And I don't know about France though.
The meets around here, the meet directors and stuff like that might be something, but that's tough because I see both sides of that. I'm on a wait list. What do you mean? And they're getting bugged and this and that, whatever, and they feel like they're missing out. Well, you wouldn't have missed out if you had signed up in the first place on time. And stuff happens. So that is, to me, is the toughest part that I see with these meets. Once we get the meets going, they run fine. You're going to have balls and this and that, whatever. But to me, when you get late entries and people want to do that and people making these changes, and I'm talking lots of late entries, the years in Orlando, one of the problems they were having is that everybody was trying to sign up at the last minute. And, yeah, you want to maximize it, but at what cost?
Yeah, you're right. And people, I used to tell people, there used to be a time when you had to sign for a meet a month ahead of time, and you had to have a certified check down at wherever you were going, and that was it. And then it was all done. But now we live in a different time where you are trying to maximize the entry, and you are trying to keep the customer happy, and it definitely can be frustrating. I know, we do we do Emerald Coast. The year we did both, Emerald Coast and Orlando, that was tough because we didn't get a chance to recover from Emerald Coast. Wow.
We're the ones, Mom and I were doing.
See, that one,
I even did the what do you call it? The relay.
See, they don't act like I don't do nothing. See,
That's another thing. But
no, I'm just I do.
We're the ones that are staying up late. He is in bed or in the chair sleeping.
He is a man of his word. I love that. Sometimes I don't agree with his word, but he is a man of his word.
Well, that's what's good about our friendship, because we sit there and you say you like, what's your perspective on this?
Yes,
I'll be
absolutely.
I said, are you sure you want to hear it? And then you go, yeah, I want to hear
Oh
it.
no, I love it. I absolutely love it.
And we
And-
sit there and
and-
talk
and-
about it.
But one thing I want to tell you that I think that's going on that a lot of meets are starting to do is the picker partner relay has, you don't realize how big of an effect it has on younger skaters and newer skaters. It is, especially the way it's been done, when you guys have done it, and they've done it at other meets and stuff like that, because it gives other skaters a chance to skate with the big boys or skate with the big girls or do something like that. And the excitement you get from these skaters doing that, sometimes it's a little overmuch because they're like, okay, I'm in over my head, but those type of things are just wonderful. And I remember, I don't know if it was you, Jazzy, or Tammy, or you, Jeff, when you guys went live on doing the picker partner, whoever came up with that idea, that was brilliant. And it
You know
was
what? I
amazing.
don't even. I'm trying to figure. You know what? I'm gonna be honest.
Wait, which one?
No, the first time
First
I think
time you
what
did it.
happened, we were sitting somewhere talking about it.
No, Dave said he wanted to have a true pick-up partner.
Yeah,
not
that's what-
like so it wouldn't be, you know,
We
if
had this-
I were to go with someone who's like super faster than me for a two-person.
We wanted to reward people that brought teams, but at the same time, we wanted to let everybody else skate and wanted to be fair. And the first time we did it, we were, believe it or not, I was kind of making it like, I wanted to make it like the NFL draft or the WWE when they're picking who was going.
He started talking about
Yeah, I was. We
I
were
don't
sitting there
know.
talking
He
about
started
it.
to leave, and I was like, "Come back over here and pick some names and." Put
Oh,
it
no,
up
no, no. I meant when we were talking about how we were going to do it.
Oh.
And then it got the big whiteboard and we picked it out of the bowl. And then Jasmine came up with this thing that
Oh, the wheel.
all the with a
Loved it.
wheel.
I absolutely loved it. And it was so funny. You don't realize how big that was. I don't know if you realize that. We had people that were huddled around their computer or their phone wanting to know, oh, you got this, oh, you got that. We were at practice one time a couple years back, and that's how they were, who you got, and this and that, whatever. It just created such excitement for people who were taking 2 or 3 people to the rink or to the meet or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was really, really, really cool. Those are the type of things, and I guess you don't realize the excitement until somebody tells you, oh yeah, they were huddled around it. Oh, you got such and such. Or if they weren't on there, all of a sudden you got the text. Hey, you got blah, 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 blah. Hey, you got Jasmine Foster in a 3-person. Oh, wow.
Well, I know it was a buzz because what happened was we were saying, okay, we're going to do this. And I don't know, it was Friday or whatever time. And then everybody was calling in. It was like they were going after TLTF wheels or something. They were,
Yeah.
hey, can I get in? And we're like, and I'm like, I don't know. And I'm
yeah,
like,
we're a little too late on that one. We
I
gotta
had to
do a
go
cutoff.
into the other room, sit in the bathroom, and I'm sitting there trying to, hey, damn it, this person wants to get in on this and all this. It was crazy. And then the next year, it was a little bit better. This year, I don't know what Jasmine and Tammy got planned, but
I like the wheel. I did that. I got that from my professor because
Yes, and I thought the wheel was awesome. I thought that was so cool because it truly, to me, was truly random, so to speak. And, you know, and it's just, it created a lot of excitement. And you know, surprisingly, you know, as it kind of matured, it created some interesting racing too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was. You know,
it
now-
really.
I want to forget Conrad.
He said, "Do you think part of the problem is certain leagues not announcing meets until a week before due dates?" That he said because he's the one that grouped all of them together. That's why he grouped the races for people to make sure people know ahead of time.
Yeah, he has that big calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
said,
he has a big calendar that he has on
Inline
Mr.
talk.
Rogers Inline Talk that lists all the races, and sometimes he doesn't get the race. It's like a week out. So
I don't know if it's just, it may not be that it's announced, or it's also maybe the point that it's not promoted as well. So, okay, maybe it could be in-house and region, like it's told throughout, but it's not promoted that it's, you know, that day.
That I remember back Jenny Steckety was talking about, because obviously she has lots of people that skate in her family and it can be a financial burden. She was saying that as everybody kind of splintered away, and after COVID, everybody was just trying to do everything. And I mean, you could literally have 30 events in 3 months, 4 months. And it's just like crazy, and trying to pick and choose and this and that, whatever. And, you know, obviously Dave has a great date for his meet. I mean, it's January. Everybody knows about that meet. He's got a good date. And, you know, in the past, they've had meets like that. I think of Battle of Seattle, all those years that I used to go. They had a perfect time for that. Obviously, the quote unquote winter nationals, as you know, we're told can't use that term, but everybody knew that was in February and where that was going. And, you know, I went to that many times. So trying to get a niche in of a different meet and this and that, whatever. And I agree with Jazz. What she's saying is that you have national meets and then you have local meets. And you guys used to do a really, really good job of promoting locally, what you did with the outdoor, what you did with stuff like that. I thought that was a really almost like a grassroots thing that I thought was really, really good. But people want the success of the big meets, and the amount of time and effort and cost it does to put on those big meets. That's what people miss. They don't see that. It takes a lot of work. And I know, again, I'm preaching to the choir. How many meets have you put on in your career?
Too many.
Yeah. And you know, look at Dave Weber and what he does, you know, how that meet has grown over the years and what he's done with that. I mean, Dave and, you know, what Crystal and all they do down there in Florida and all the stuff that they're doing down there, you know, it takes a lot. It takes a lot to put these things together and to be successful. And I don't know. I don't know what the answer is for that. I don't know if you, like you said, do you put it all on a big calendar and just have people pick and choose? I don't have an answer to that, because then you run into the same problem as, okay, now you have all these meets. Who's going to officiate them?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you have all these meets who's going to officiate them, and as the sport, you know, as people want to aspire to all these other levels in the sport, like going to Europe for a month, and I was very fortunate that I had coaching back at my rink the whole time I was gone. So the people that didn't go could still, but back, I could say if that was 5 years ago, they just wouldn't have skated for the whole month. They just wouldn't have been able to skate.
You know, I'm sure they do that in a lot of places. I mean, up in your region, I'm sure that's a problem in Florida. I know it's a problem for, you know, some of the people here with Gypsy and all her stuff, you know, when she was involved, and in Colorado, California, you name it. That's the same thing, because it's a balance act of, you got newer skaters that need obviously the coaching each week and stuff like that. And then you have your elite skaters that you want them there, but you want them to go to Europe. You want them to get the experience. You want them to, because we want to get the US back to where it needs to be. And the only way we can do that is we have to go overseas to compete. We got to see what it's like. And I think we're going to grow a lot from this, because like I said, the number of people that went to Germany and Geisengen and Germany and France this year, I think a lot of people, it opened up a lot of eyes for a lot of folks. And people are asking questions now. How can we improve? Not why or what this, how can we do better? You've said that. What can we do better? How can we manage? We're struggling with 350 entries and they have 1,000.
Yeah, they just run it. Well, listen, I gotta tell everybody to reset. Jasmine always says they gotta reset their computers because we got a trivia question.
Uh-oh.
And you're part of the trivia question.
Okay.
And so I'm gonna let
No, you can take this. You can do the trivia question for it. I want to see if you get it right.
Who?
You that if you're listening to me about it right.
Oh, then I'm gonna get it wrong because I probably wasn't listening right. So you better do it.
No, I want to. That's why I want to see you do it.
Okay. So says she wants me to mess up. Well, everybody got their computer.
Listening.
Okay. What is? Can I whisper it in your ear first? Yeah, see, I wasn't going to mess it up. So, what is Al's referee number? Don't say it. Don't say it. It's and we
Well,
and,
he can.
and
what-
we have. We're gonna. Is this what we're giving away?
Yeah.
And we're giving away this cool bond hat. So what is Al Tinsley's referee number? I'll never forget what my son's is though. But what? Is,
That one's easy.
that's easy.
Wait, what'd you say? Yeah, it's same as Robinson's, Jackie Robinson.
Yeah, Jagger Robinson's number. That's why I thought that was kind of unique. I can't believe nobody knows it. There's nobody saying anything. And I thought it would be pretty. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna be quiet. What is Al Tinsley's referee number? And the winner gets up. You know what? She wins all the damn time.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, and I should have her address on my in my contacts by now. It is no.
Why don't you let Al say it?
Yeah, Al, why don't you? But you gotta wait till it unbuffers. But what's your number? There you gotta do it again.
One more time. Oh my goodness, keeps buffering.
Keep buffering. But his number is 47.
Yeah.
And Krista Crawford wins again. So I'll put this in a box and I will send it out tomorrow.
There's gotta be like a limit.
Yeah, she probably,
Because
like
it's been Michael and Krista and
Krista's won a lot. She's won a lot. She won bearings, she won all kinds of stuff. So, well, Al, we only do about an hour. We don't want everybody, but I think this was an excellent interview. I wanted to thank you for coming on and giving us your insight and keeping it positive, because that's what we're trying to be about. And hopefully, we'll see you this weekend. I'll see you Saturday. And thank you for all you do for the sport. I know everybody. I'm just preaching to the choir whenever everybody just loves what you do, loves what your son does, and just keep doing it.
This was really good.
All righty. Well, we're going to sign off here. Hey, thank you. Skate fast.
Learn last.
All right. Thanks, Al.
Sure.
Hope you
Bye.
enjoyed it.
Bye-bye.